Hi, my name is Sick and this is my ArmA 3 review. So, I know ArmA 3 has been out for a lot of years, and basically a lot of people that were going to play this game have bought it already, but I decided to do this video anyway, because if you're still on the fence, you want to find a review, basically every single one of them is outdated. Every review that I have seen was released during the alpha stage of the game, which means it was very incomplete at the time. It didn't have a single player campaign, for example. A lot of other things are still missing. There was only one island instead of the big Altis island, which they added in the beta. And also with the DLC releases, the Marksman DLC and the Helicopter DLC specifically, they added a lot of features to the base game that have never been discussed in any of the reviews because they arrived so much later. And they were major additions too. They were firing from vehicles, which is incredible. You can actually fly in on the side of a little bird helicopter, shoot at enemies as you come in. It's absolutely awesome. They also added the ability to deploy your weapons, so bipods are actually useful in the game now. There's weapon resting if you get close to any surface. All those good things, just incredible. A lot of really cool things, and also I think not a lot of attention, or not enough attention, has been given to the adjustable stance system that ArmA 3 has, which I really want to show off in more detail, so that's what we're going to do first. Okay, so welcome to the game. I just popped myself down in the editor real quick so I can show you some of the movement features that I'm really excited about in ArmA 3. So basically every other shooter that I have ever played usually only has three stances. They have the standing position, the crouch position and the prone position. But ArmA 3 decided to expand on that, and they have created an adjustable stance system that basically gives you a high version and a low version of every stance in the game. Next to that, not only can you go up and down with the stance system, you can also go to the side. They have added a step out feature that also works in prone, where you just go lie on your side. And it's really useful in a lot of situations. So I'm just going to show you off that now. So like every other game, ArmA 3 has a quick button for every basic stance that you have. So you start off in your standing position, press X to go crouching, X to go back up. You can press Z to go instantly to prone, instantly back to standing, or you can just crouch, prone, and you go. Right? But ArmA 3 has a lot more, and to access that they have actually invented a very easy solution to deal with the problem of having too many buttons to deal with all those possibilities. Basically one extra button is needed for all of the extra stances that you can take, which basically they made control a modifier button. So if you hold down control and you press W, you adjust your stance up like this. If I press S again, I go back down. If I press S again, I go to the low standing position, and I press it again, I go to high crouch, regular crouch, low crouch, high prone, regular prone, and low prone. And low prone is actually very cool. It looks useless right now until you're lying behind a car being pinned down by the enemy. Just let me show you. So I've placed the car down here, right? If I go prone behind it, I cannot actually see what's on the other side. I can peek, but I really don't see anything unless they come standing right on the other side of the car. But if I go into low prone, well, look at that. I can now peek under the car, and I can shoot at whatever end is on the other side. It's really useful. So what's more, is basically that's not the only thing you can do in prone. Prone actually also has lying on the side, and you can do it both ways. Right? So if an enemy were to be on top of this hill here, right, you could actually see my legs, see my butt probably, and shoot me. The only way to defend myself from that would be to crawl on my side like this. Get close to the wall, now suddenly they can't see me. But the problem is, I can't fire at the enemy either. So what I want to do here, or what I can do here, is lie on my side. And you can still move around once you're in this position. And what's really cool as well is in this position, you can actually still use your iron sights, where in low prone you can't. So now that gives me a lot more tactical options when dealing with an enemy here. The only downside of course to this is that I'm very slow, So if somebody throws a grenade at my feet, well, I'm not going to go anywhere in a hurry. So at this distance, I would probably not do it. If the enemy was way over there on the hill, then yeah, probably. But as it is, you know, it's an extra tool for you to use and try to survive in this world. And you need it because, of course, ArmA 3 is a simulation. You can die very quickly. But like I said, you can also step out. And why stepping out to the left in particular is useful, I can show you best by just going over to this little building here. So every tactical shooter I have ever played has taught me one thing about cover, and is that if I want to move around it, I'm going to the right. And the reason for that is very simple. Because if I move around cover, I'm going to do it in a leaning position, like this. And if I move around the corner here, I can shoot while only exposing a little bit of my shoulder, a little bit of my head, right? But if I try to do this on the other side, before I can shoot, I have to expose the entire left side of my body, which is not ideal. I don't want to do this. So when I play something, I always go around the right. Except now in ArmA 3, I can step out, switch my gun to my other shoulder, and suddenly I still have to expose myself a little bit more, but a lot less than if I was leaning. I have a lot more protection from this wall if I do this instead of this. And in ArmA, like every other tactical shooter, millimeters matter. So yeah, it's really useful. I'm really happy it's in there, and basically after playing ArmA 3, if I boot up any other tactical shooter, I really miss this system because it adds so much. It gives you so much possibilities, and it's just incredible. Okay, so for the next part of the demonstration, I decided to load up the Marksman DLC showcase. Yeah, this is really cool for showing you the new bipod deployment and weapon resting. So basically, this is a feature that people have been asking for ever since Operation Flashpoint Cold War Crisis, but has never been added until now. And the best part of it is it's useful, or it's usable in every map, whether it is official content or fan-made. And it works on basically every object that is the right height. It doesn't just work in windows, it works on rocks, it works on ledges, it works on tables. It even works on vehicles. Vehicles that you can just drive around. Like not the static ones that are destroyed or anything like that are part of the scenery. No. This quad bike right here, I can actually use it as a stable base to deploy my bipod on. So I'm about halfway through the mission at the moment. About 300 meters from my position right there is an enemy encampment, and I use this to get close. I'm going to use it to get a little bit closer, and yeah, I think up the hill or just behind the woods here should be okay if I can get a good vantage point. And this is actually an ideal height to deploy my weapon on. Right, so I'm very close, but just for the purposes of demonstration, this will do. So if you look up to the right hand corner of the screen, you see my icon that usually indicates stance. So crouch, standing, whatever. Oh shit. Okay, so I've been spotted. That scared the shit out of me. Damn. Okay. Anyway, I'll try to. Yeah, I've rested my bipod with C. I don't know who's actually seen me. Not that guy. Someone else. Let's see. Where is everybody? There he is. Oh, I've got him. Oh shit. Okay. And this is where the adjustable stance system comes in really handy. Right now I'm in the low crouch. Let me just sneak off to the side here a little bit. That's one guy. Okay. Okay, this will be a nice way to show you something else. The control button, which is the modifier for the stances, also allows you to switch between optics. So right now I have the scope, and I have the backup sights, which I just switched between with the iron sights button and holding down control. And this allows me to just have a little quick scan of the surrounding area, see where... ah, there he is. There we go. Right. Back to deploying my weapon. So as you can see, I pressed the C button and it deployed my weapon on a quad bike. And now it's a very stable base for me to shoot at the enemy. Unfortunately they discovered me a bit too early because I got too close for the demonstration, but actually it allowed me to show you some of the features I was talking about earlier in actual gameplay. Okay, but the bipod deployment is not the only thing. Actually, if you just get close to any surface with your weapon, you will automatically get a resting benefit from it. So you don't have to press any button for it, you just move up close to whatever. So I can move up to this rock, go into crouch, and now you can see in my stance indicator there is actually a little box, and the pipe, you can see the little bipod on the weapon if you look closely, which indicates that if I press C now, I will actually deploy the bipod. This is possible here. Sometimes you just see the little box, and that means without the bipod there you can't deploy your bipod. But you still get the resting benefit, which helps reduce recoil just a little bit. Which with the new fatigue system, because they overhauled fatigue, meaning that if you walk uphill you get really tired really quick. If you carry a lot of gear you get really tired really quick. So basically you can, there's a lot of things now that affect your ability to aim effectively. And weapon resting and bipod deployment is a way to counteract that. And what's also really cool, you don't actually need bipods to deploy your weapon on a surface. So if I go into the deployment or in my inventory screen and take away the bipod, now I don't have a bipod, but I can still deploy my weapon. So even a regular infantryman with a regular rifle can still deploy his weapon for the extra benefit. Just basically he's just pressing down his weapon on the rock and using it for stabilizing his weapon. Alright, so I've switched over really quick to the firing from vehicles showcase, because it's also a really awesome feature that everybody should see. So, yeah, I'm in a little bird, and previously you could only sit here and look at your surroundings and that's it. But now, thanks to the Marksman DLC, we can now finally, after all these years, fire from vehicles. So, you can see my buddy over here, he can shoot, he's AI. Those guys over there, everybody that's on basically on this side can fire at anything that's below us. And you can see if I move over him, my weapon goes up. It's really cool. But this also works from trucks, vehicles, like a hatchback car. You can fire from the back of that, and trucks as well, even like covered up trucks, like the last two positions in the back of the truck, you can fire from there as well. Which means that high-speed chases are not possible, or if you get into an ambush you can return fire without just... Like previously you would just have to race through an ambush, or stop, get out and fire at the enemy. That was the only two possibilities, but now you can actually return some fire. It's not going to be terribly effective. Oh, there we go. Alright, so... There's some enemies in there. And I'm dead. Well, anticlimactic, isn't it? But, yeah, of course, being able to fire from a vehicle doesn't mean God mode. So... something you just have to deal with, and of course we're flying in a valley full of enemy soldiers, right? So your mobility makes it hard to get hit, but yeah, it doesn't make you impervious. And also Bohemia has done a lot of work on the AI, and they're really, really good now. Like in ArmA 2 and previous ArmAs, the AI would be slow to react. They would be very slow to react to anybody that was in close quarters to them. So city battles, they would be very slow to turn. They were fishing a barrel once you entered the city for the most part. But in ArmA 3 that's no longer the case. In ArmA 3 they actually turn really quickly, they find their target and they kill you really, really fast. It's actually quite incredible if you see the AI, you know. And of course the AI does some dumb shit every once in a while. How can it not? You know, it's an open world game. There's too many things to consider for an AI to always make a smart choice. But sometimes they do some really impressive stuff. And actually it also kind of depends on how many AI are in a mission. There is, of course, every AI needs the CPU to calculate what it's going to do, right? So the more AI you have, the less CPU power is available to each individual soldier to calculate where he's going and how he's going to take cover and all that stuff. Basically, the more enemy soldiers you have, the dumber they are going to become. And technically, the fewer you have, the smarter they can become. Doesn't mean they're going to be Einsteins, but they're going to be smart. Like 10 enemy soldiers are going to behave smarter and quicker than 100 enemy soldiers will. Basically, just how it works, you know, the math. So yeah, let's give this one more try, because this is just awesome. Like, when I first tried it, like, I haven't played this game for over a year because I'm traveling. This wasn't in, like, firing from vehicles wasn't in when I last played the game, and when I got in, I tried it immediately because it just sounded so awesome in my head, and I was flying in the helicopter, the music kicked in, and it was just incredible, you know, it's like adrenaline rushing through my veins, and okay, there we go. So this mission actually does not allow you to shoot before you get shot at. You can actually fail this mission because of that. There is one. Hopefully I got him, but it's very hard because I'm moving around. I can't control over the helicopter movements, right? So my aim is all over the place, but I'm trying to get on target. It's quite hard, but there's one. That guy's dead. Oh, this one better. Guy's dead. Oh, not dead, I mean he's critically hit. Alright. This actually shows off another cool feature. You have the UAV, which is very big in ArmA 3. You don't always use it, but it's a big feature that they were quite proud of, I think. So, UAV, this is the UAV system. There's one flying around. I'm connected to the terminal. So this is the UAV. I can connect to it by clicking on it. I can control the driver, which I don't want to do, and it's actually grayed out now. I'm going to control the gunner. And my job right now is to destroy the downed helicopter right there. So I can see it. I have the laser pointed. Oh no, this is not actually a laser. I actually have a rocket that I can fire. So, job well done. It took me actually, the first time I played this, it took me forever to find the helicopter. I didn't know what they were talking about. And if you wait too long, you can actually fail the mission because of that as well. But now I figured it out. I know what to do now. So it's actually quite cool. You just destroy the helicopter that's in the bottom of the valley because we can't get to it. And now that this part is over, we're actually being inserted. So this time around, we're going to be dropped on the ground and we're going to do a regular old village sweep. The reload animations are a lot better as well. This is also something that irked a lot of people when they first played the original ArmA and Operation Flashpoint, because the animations were really low quality, and that's because basically the camera from which the player sees the world is actually inside the head of a third-person model, right? There is no true first-person mode, I guess, is how you would call it. Basically, you're in a multiplayer model. You're in a third-person model that somebody else sees, right? And this means like first-person animations and third-person animations are always different. First-person animations, because you see them up close, are very detailed. But for another player, this is for multiplayer, for example. Another player does not need to see a very detailed animation of my reload, you know? And to save on CPU power, they simplified this animation, so it doesn't take up as much power of the computer. because it doesn't really serve any purpose. But ArmA did it the same way. You're actually inside a third-person model, and because of that, the reload animations they used were basically the ones other players would see, but you saw them from... Basically, they put the camera inside the head of the model instead of actually having a first-person mode. Like, it's technical. I don't know the entire... I don't know all the technical details behind it. It's just that that's the explanation I read once. And yeah, it seemed reasonable, but I don't know what they did, but they managed to make the reloads a lot more detailed this time around as well. You can still see it's not it's not as detailed as a normal first-person reload would be, but it's a lot closer than what it used to be. Okay, there's some bullets flying right by my head. Okay. So this is another scenario where the adjustable stance is really useful, because now I go into high standing mode, or yeah, high standing position to fire over this wall. It's a little bit different, but it could make all the difference, you know, like this is a little bit too low. This is exactly right to fire over the wall. And this is not, you know. So if it wasn't for the adjustable stance system, I would never be able to shoot over this wall, but now I actually can. I just expose a very little bit of my body and I can still fire effectively at the enemy, which is really cool. Right. Ooh, okay. Somebody saw me peeking over the wall there. Let's see, you have to get around here. I'm not playing as carefully as I would normally, just because I want to showcase some of the mission and that kind of thing. I also don't want to die, because I'm dying enough in this video review. I'm not actually that bad of a player. Sometimes you get unlucky though. Yeah, I can be really accurate sometimes. Almost to the point of being a little bit unfair, but for the most part, like, the AI is something you can actually deal with quite well. Is that? I thought it was someone, probably not. But yeah, this is one thing though. Like, there is people say the AI cheats in ArmA, that they can see through trees and foliage and all that kind of stuff. And that's not actually true. But it's very easy for the game to make you think that that's the case, and the reason for that is because the AI can actually predict your movements, right? So basically, imagine running across an open field and then running into the tree line, right? As soon as you move into the tree line, you're out of sight. The enemy can't see you, but somehow they still manage to kill you, and you scream, it's like, oh, they're cheating, they're looking for trees, and they shouldn't be able to see me because I'm behind cover and whatever. I'm actually not behind cover, but behind concealment. But actually the AI, he saw you moving behind cover, and he basically predicted that if you kept moving at the same speed, same direction, that you're going to be at a certain point at a certain time, and he's just going to let rip a few rounds into that position. And if you actually keep moving the way you were moving when he last saw you, chances are he's going to kill you even though you got out of sight, just because they can check your position and track you and predict your whereabouts just a few seconds ahead. And the player, actually, you can see this happening as well, because if you follow an AI squad leader's commands, they give you targets, right? You'll see little red boxes appear over the enemy you're supposed to hit. Sometimes you'll see this little red box dragging through the terrain without actually being around the soldier you're supposed to shoot. And that's because that is the predictive model that the AI is using. You can see it in the game, what the AI is basically doing. But a lot of people don't know this or don't realize that the AI is actually seeing the same kind of red square that you are seeing. And they basically track that, they shoot at it, and they get lucky kills. But if you ran into the bushes and went prone and rolled around a little bit, you might actually hear the bullets fly over your head, and you'd be safe. It's just about being unpredictable, and that's how you survive. It's just like in real world. If you keep popping up in the same place, or if you move in a predictable fashion, the enemy will use it against you to kill you. You know, and the AI in ArmA 3 actually does that too. So it's a lot fairer than people actually suspect it would, because other AI might cheat like that, but ArmA AI is basically, yeah, it's a fair artificial intelligence, I think. And I mean, alright, here's another thing, right, to consider. The AI does not actually see the world the way we do. We see very detailed models and leaves and stuff like that, and we can see through that maybe a little bit. Oh, okay, I have to be careful here. But the AI does not see the world the way we do. They see models that are a lot less detailed, and they might not completely correspond with what we're seeing. So they might be able to see something where we cannot, because we see more leaves, more trees, and yeah, so basically they could see a little round blob, maybe this size, while we see more leaves and sticks around it. Meaning that we are obscured in view, but the AI could actually see us if we're trying to hide behind it. And this could be... Ooh. Oh, that was lucky. Yeah, I hear him cry. I hear him gurgling. He's dead. I got lucky. But yeah, so basically that's also another reason why people might think that ArmA AI is unfair. You know, because the way they perceive the world is different from ours, and they think it's cheating, but it's actually just models not lining up. In essence, that's in essence basically what it is, you know. And that's up to the game designer to make sure that those things line up as much as possible. I did not see that one coming. Anyway, I think I made my point, so we can move on from here. So one of the other major new additions to the game that I haven't actually introduced in the intro is actually one of the biggest lifelines of the game. It has kept the community going for basically the entire existence of the Operation Flashpoint Cold War Crisis game and the ArmA series. Like, everything that keeps people coming back to the game is because of this one feature, and it's the editor. So the editor, for those who don't know, is the feature that allows you to create your own missions. And if you want to do a professional style mission, it's a bit hard, but you can get a really nice firefight going like really easily in just a few steps. But with the latest edition, they decided to add a 3D editor, which is also a feature that has been requested for a long time. As you might suspect, a 3D editor just makes it super easy to place items down really precisely, which was always really hard to do in the 2D editor, because none of the items or the icons of the items actually corresponded to the size of the items that they actually were in game. So if you wanted to put a table somewhere, you put it on the edge of the building in the 2D map, right? And then you preview the game, and then it turns out that the building is not actually the same size as the icon on the map was, and now the table is sticking halfway through the wall. Little things like that. So with the 3D editor, it's a lot easier to do stuff like that now. Yeah, let me jump straight into it and show you around. So takes a little bit to jump into it. Alright, so as you can see, I'm in the editor now. 3D space, you can look around, jump, just fly around with the camera, go anywhere you want. Have a look at your terrain. And this is what I do a lot of the time, because I like making missions. I've made quite a few already. And this is how I like to start. I just start here. I used to just fly around in a helicopter, but now this is a lot easier. And I just fly around with the camera, look at the scenes, you know. And then sometimes my eyes will fall on something and I'll get inspiration. I'm just like, you know, I'll see this hill here, and there's like a radio antenna and a little church thing, and then an idea pops into my head, and it's like, oh, it would be really cool if I could make a mission like this and this and this, you know? And then I start working on it, and everything grows from there. Actually, this is a really cool spot. I want to know where this is. Where am I right now? Agia Stemma. Alright, something to remember. So yeah, they made it a lot easier to manipulate the environment, place stuff really precisely, but they also added a lot more. So one of the new things that you can do now is you have an ability to search for whatever item you want to find. So For example, I want to find a machine gunner. I no longer have to go through the entire list. I can just type in machine gunner. Apparently they want me to have someone else. MG. There we go. Okay, maybe not the best. It's called an auto rifleman. So machine gunner is not actually the right word, but if I typed in auto rifleman, then they would show me this in this faction, and if I switch to OP4, it will show me all the OP4 auto riflemen in independent and so on and so on. Civilian, of course, doesn't have anything like that, so no need to look there. But yeah, if you want to find something, it's really easy. So maybe I want to find the table I was talking about. I go to objects, type in table, and now every thing that has the word table in it shows up in this list. So tablet, portable, all that stuff that has table in it, it just shows up, and it's just very easy to find whatever you need. Yeah, so I've been at this for a while. Actually, today I unlocked an achievement, which is also new to ArmA 3, that said I've been creating missions for over 100 hours in the editor. So there you go. I'll just show you one of the missions I've actually made. So one of the first missions I released for ArmA 3, because I've made a few for ArmA 2 as well, but one of the first I released for ArmA 3 was actually also one of the first missions ever released on the Altis terrain when it was just added in the beta. It actually became quite popular, and it's a remake of one of the campaign missions in Operation Flashpoint called War Crisis. So I'll just open it up here, and this takes me to my mission. Frame rate goes down a bit as it loads up all the assets and triggers and all that stuff. Actually, usually this is 60 frames per second for me, but because I'm recording, frame rate goes down a little bit. But yeah, this is what my mission looks like. I've got all the things placed down, all the characters. So this right here is me. I'm an auto rifleman in this mission. All these little blue flags are triggers, and the triggers are basically what makes everything happen in the game. So this right here, Townspeak 2, Townspeak 2-1, Townspeak 1. These are all little triggers that I use for the conversation that happens at the start of the mission. Because the officer here, he'll actually come over and he'll talk to you, and then you just wait around for a bit until shit hits the fan and we go to war. But it takes a little while to get to know all of this. Like, they've added some prompts, so once you start typing a little bit of script or code that you need to do or need to accomplish something, it will try to show you some of it, but it's still very hard. Like, you need a lot of knowledge and try to find all of this stuff online. That's how I learned most of my knowledge. They did add some stuff that is actually quite useful. So for example, this stuff here are task creation logics or systems, however you want to call them. And this one, create task, is actually the first objective that the player gets. It's to relax in the town because, well, you've earned it. You know? And this used to be through an external script, right? You needed to go into your desktop, create an SQF file, something like that, type a bit of code, and then insert whatever text you wanted in there. And if you didn't know what you were doing, it was very hard to make a typo, mess up everything, and then, well, try to find that one typo in a long list of code, right? It's enough to give me a headache, because I'm really bad at that. But little additions like this, they make it really easy to give this kind of stuff to the player. Yeah, basically you can let your imagination run wild here, you know, and you can do little things like, for example, I placed this guy on top of the tower, which before I had to do through a script. You just had to put down everything. Basically, this was what the editor looked like, right? So you put down everything like this, and then you would open up their attributes, and then in the init you would type a code to basically elevate their position. You would put them at a different height. That is no longer necessary. Now you just grab this guy. I can press space to adjust the widget. Just move him up and down. And once he gets close to the surface, he actually snaps right to it. So he doesn't... I can lower him if I want to, but you can feel, when you move the mouse up and down, you can feel him snap onto the terrain. Which is really, really cool. So for example, if I wanted him to be lower, I could actually move him down, snap him to the ground here. Oh. Let's see. Where am I? The controls are a little bit quick right now. Frame rate isn't helping me. Yeah, so as you can see, I can now move him up to the window. And this is where he will be. It's very easy, very quick, very intuitive once you know what you're doing. Yeah, so all of these little triggers, all of the little logics, they make everything happen in the game. They make sure that people can talk, they make sure that the mission gets ended, they check for special states. Basically, they can go on a timer, or they can check for the life status of a specific unit. So maybe you want an assassination mission where you're a sniper and you want to shoot someone, like an officer, and once he gets killed, the objective is complete. So a trigger is how you check for that officer, if he is still alive or not. And yeah, if you figure all of this out, you can actually make really cool scenarios. Like, yeah, people can enjoy it. And because they added the Steam Workshop support, which is really cool, you can go to scenario, publish to Steam Workshop. So here's the list of all the missions I uploaded. Some of them are not publicly available yet, they're tests. So these ones are tests right here, nobody can find them yet. But yeah, Flashpoint Ambush, this is the mission that I've opened up right here. There's also another Flashpoint remake called After Montignac, Operation Morton, which is actually the first mission in the campaign. I don't want to update those to this because it will just override it. There's no need. But yeah, if you manage to figure all of this stuff out, which takes a bit of time, but once you do, it's really powerful. You can do a lot of cool things and you'll end up with something like this.
Men, this evening you can put your feet up and relax. You've earned it. I'm going back to Lemuel. You're in charge.
Something tells me we won't be doing much relaxing this evening.
Oh yeah? If you ask me, the fun's over. Whoever's been causing trouble has got the messaging for most.
You want to bet?
Yeah, sure, I want to bet. What do you want to bet?
I don't know. How about we get shot at this evening, you give me your digital lunch. We don't get shot at, I'll give you my mini munch break.
Okay, but you have to admit, it sounds real quiet out there.
Indeed it does. So this is the scenario I just opened up in the editor, right? All the little flags you saw at the beginning, that's what dictated this conversation to happen right here. And yeah, nothing happens for a little while, so I'm just going to skip forward a little bit.
Does anyone copy? I am under
There we go.
fire at location Delta Charlie 6-4. Urgent assistance required. Please respond. Repeat. I'm under heavy fire location.
God damn it, let's go. All units report immediately to center of village. Papa Bear, give me an infantry carrier. The lieutenant needs backup at location Delta Charlie 6-4.
Yeah, another little trigger caused this to happen, like everybody joins the leader. Because before this, everybody was his own little group, his own little personal unit, basically. Yeah, they all joined him. Then he moved on his way because he actually had a waypoint at the start, but he had to wait for a certain trigger to be active before he could move on from it. Same for the APC right there. So we're gonna link up and get inside and move on to the engagement area. Alright, so we're very close to the ambush site. I'm just gonna play it for a little bit, but basically I'm gonna show you this because I also want to show you some of the new audio features. So one of the new features of the audio system is indoor reverb. So sounds reverberate inside rooms. They sound different when you shoot, or when you shoot a rifle inside a house, it sounds different than when you shoot it outside of the house.
Jeez, what a mess.
Another little advance warning. There's a few mods running at the moment. One of them is a death screen mod that I'm working on with somebody else right now. So when somebody dies, you're gonna hear them scream. They might cry, they might yell, they might just like make a sound, something like that.
Let's move on. Go, go, go. Stick together and stay near the
since we're in
road.
an ambush, somebody's likely to die, so you'll hear it probably, but it's not in the game by default. Oh yeah, something else. You can also adjust the range. So if you look at the top of the in the top right of the screen, where you also see the stance indicator, you can see a little thing that says 100 meters, and that's actually the zeroing distance of my weapon. So if I look from my iron sights, if I point this at someone at 100 meters distance, the tip of my iron sight, that's exactly where the bullet will hit. But if he is at any different distance, the bullet might end up short, or like lower or higher than what I'm actually aiming at, because of the accurate bullet ballistics this game has. So in this engagement, I know the enemy will be at 300 meters, so if I press page up, I can adjust the sight to 300 meters, and enemy... ah, there we go. Shit. Alright. Alright, that was quick. Let me try that again. Alright, so like I said, it was an ambush. Things like that can be expected to happen. Yeah, so I'll adjust my range to 300 meters because I know the enemy will be at almost that kind of distance from me in this engagement. So now if I put my iron sights on any enemy at that distance, that is exactly where my bullet will hit. And yeah, it's very important to adjust your ranges, because otherwise your bullets will end up all over the place, basically. Right, so I'm just gonna run over to this house so I can show you the difference between shooting inside and outside, and it will give me a bit of better cover in this engagement as well. There's already one guy down. Alright, I'll just go around this side. Alright, so that's outside. Let me just go inside for better cover. Open the door. Alright, so now I can move to this window. Yeah, let's see if I can see anyone. So as you can hear, it's very different inside the house. Ooh, that was close. Right.
Medic, 300 meters, northwest. 4, fire at that medic, northwest. 3, fire at that medic, northwest. Man, 400 meters, northwest. 18 soldier, 400 meters, northwest. 3, 7,
Reload.
attack that 18 soldier, northwest. 8, 4, fire at that soldier, northwest. Man down.
Okay, so right now you can see my the crouching position is actually too low.
I'm the new actual.
If I'm standing, my sight is actually a little bit blocked. So if I use the adjustable stand system,
5, fire at that
I can
soldier,
actually
northwest.
move down just enough so I can
Engage that man,
look at the enemy from
northwest.
the windowsill.
Fire at that soldier, northwest.
Alright, so now that you've had a little taste of what the editor is capable of, let me show you where they end up once you go to the Steam Workshop, subscribe, and just download a mission. So in the play section you have the campaign, which is the official campaign, of course, the showcase missions, which are all official content by Bohemia, but the scenarios, these are all custom made. They're all made by fans. So if you click it, you'll actually see, like, I have a long list of missions to play. These are all made by other people that were not working for Bohemia Interactive, and these are all on the Steam Workshop. So when you go to this page, you just press the subscribe button on the mission page, and it will download automatically for you, and the game will keep them up to date for you as well. So if somebody updates the mission, you'll automatically get the latest version. And as you can see, it's a lot, but this is not even like 10% or probably not even 1% of all the missions that have been uploaded on the Steam Workshop. Like, the actual list of submissions on Steam is immense, really immense. And now they don't only support scenarios being shared on the Steam Workshop, they actually have proper mod support as well. You can actually download weapon kits, different uniforms, different maps made by people, so not scenarios, missions, but actual maps. And in fact, there's one really big mod happening right now that basically adds all the maps from previous ArmA games to the game. So you can go to Sarani, you can go to Takistan, you can go to Chernorus. All of that can be accessed through the Steam Workshop now, which is absolutely excellent. But of course, user scenarios are all well and good, but of course Bohemia Interactive have made their own scenarios. Not only the showcases, but the full campaign is now available. Has been for quite some time now. And I'm happy to say, like, I'm a huge fan of Operation Flashpoint, Cold War Crisis. That was like my introduction to Bohemia's games, right? I think I started playing it in 2001. I was quite young. I bought it randomly in a store. I didn't know what it was because I had shit internet. I couldn't really read previews or reviews or anything about any game, so I would just walk into a store, pick up a random copy. All the information I had to go on with any kind of game was basically the back cover of the box. You know, you just see the little screenshots, the little descriptions, and they never really tell you if a game's actually good or not. You know, we all know that advertising wants to sell every game, but it was always like I had to get lucky, you know. I had to get lucky to buy a good game, and this one day I bought Operation Flashpoint Cold War Crisis, and honestly it's one of the best games I have ever bought. I'm really happy I did. Yeah, so I think I was there pretty close to the start, but I was pretty young, so I didn't know the entire scene around it or anything like that. But with ArmA, I was there. I was playing the demo. I was playing online in a community and all that stuff. But I started off playing single player, and I'm happy to say, like, the Cold War Crisis campaign was bloody excellent. It was really good. It made you feel like you were just a soldier in just a small tiny piece of a big war machine, you know, and you kind of felt like your life was insignificant because you were just a grunt following orders at the start, you know. You had no responsibility other than trying to survive and kill as many guys as you can before they kill you or your team members. And I'm happy to say, like, ArmA 3's campaign has gone back to that. It's actually really good. You start off as a single soldier again. You end up in the shit. You try to survive. As you go, you get a little bit more responsibility, and you start learning how to control your team members and all that stuff. But for me, I always kind of like just following the AI team leaders, you know? They just allow you to focus on your own movement, your own tactics, like your personal tactics and stuff like that. And yeah, I'm happy to say, like, the entire first chapter of the ArmA 3 campaign is exactly like that. So this time around they hired better voice actors too, which is really cool, because this time the like Operation Flashpoint Cold War Crisis had pretty good audio as well. Like, the voice actors that were actually pretty good, but the campaign in ArmA 1, ArmA 2, and the voice actors are terrible, just absolutely cringeworthy, you know. But in this game, not so much. In this game, they're actually quite good. Yeah, so the campaign is called East Wind. They added a prologue later on, so they actually expanded on the campaign a bit later, even though it comes before the official campaign, which is like a little bit of a weird way to do things, but apparently they decided, like, or they heard that a lot of people still had trouble learning the game, right? So they created the prologue to act as kind of a tutorial for those people who still had trouble getting into ArmA, which is nice for us because there's actually some pretty funny stuff going on there, and there's a few combat scenarios that they're not quite as large scale as the official campaign later on, but it's still very enjoyable even after you finish the game and you're a veteran player. Like, it's still nice to dive into. But these other ones, Dying Ember, Resist, Bell Tolls, Green Draw, Deliverance, these are actually also fan-made campaigns. So whereas the scenarios were single missions, and they don't tie into each other at all, these missions actually do. They have a storyline you can follow. So far, I really like Resist. Resist is really good. I haven't finished it yet. I really need to. But I did finish Green Draw. Green Draw was excellent. It was really, really good. So, yeah, if you finished all the other campaign missions and you don't really like getting into individual scenarios, have a look at all these campaigns, and especially Green Draw and Resist. Like, the production value is pretty much just as big as those of the official Bohemia content. But yeah, let me show you a little bit of the official campaign. Right, I'm gonna skip this mission. It's the introduction mission, but it has a long wind-up, so let's just pop into this one and just replay it. Yeah, it will give you a sense of the voice acting quality and all that stuff, you know, and also the cool things they do storytelling wise. It's quite enjoyable. Alright, there we go. So this is the second mission of the campaign. Not really spoilery. Everything has just gone to shit. We're on our own in the woods. We're trying to survive, basically. Yeah, trying to hide from the enemy that's basically scattered all the NATO forces on this island. This is helicopter that we're trying to hide from. Alright. So, one other thing I forgot to mention. I'll wait for the dialogue to finish first.
Affirmative. Is that you, Lacey? Over. Sarge, thank Christ. We thought we were the only ones left. I managed to link up with a couple of guys from Point Zulu. What's your grid, Sergeant? Over. We're just north of Mike 26 at the old outpost. 043043. We've been here for, shit, at least an hour now. Over. Understood. We'll RV with you there. How copy? Over. Solid copy. We'll be here. Just get a move on. Out.
You think we can make it there, sir?
I don't think we have much of a choice, Gary.
This one.
Fuck! Sergeant Adams! Jesus!
Sergeant Adams, we just heard an explosion. You guys okay? Over. Adams, Carrie, you there? Respond.
No, he's not
Yeah,
okay.
I'm here.
I want his weapon because it's a little bit more useful in this scenario than a machine gun, which I picked up in the last
I'm on my
scenario.
own.
Fuck. Shit, Carrie, I'm sorry,
Get
but
the
you gotta
helmet.
get out of there. If we heard it, you can bet the AAF did
And then
too.
rearm
You
to get
copy?
all the magazines real
Yeah,
quick.
Fuck, I copy.
Are you hurt?
Yeah, I mean, no. I'm fine.
Okay, make your way to us, and we'll go from there. Out.
Okay, so back to the point I was trying to make earlier. I forgot to mention that there are actually also 4 movement speeds in ArmA 3. So you've got the default jog, right? Actually, hold on a second. I think there are still mines in this area. I have to be careful there. So I'm going left. Alright, so 4 movement speeds. The basic is jogging, which is I'm doing right now. Oh, for fuck's sake, come on, shut up.
Receiving you, sir.
Alright.
Sergeant Lacey, over.
I'll wait a little bit more.
Next time, avoid broadcasting over the whole net, soldier. We're consolidating the remnants of our forces at Camp Maxwell. You're welcome to join us if you want. Yes, sir. Of course. Not so fast. Our disarmed forces have concentrated themselves around Mike 26 and the airbase, meaning there's a sea of AAF units between you and us. I'm dispatching a team to RV with you at 028, 037, just east of Camp Tempest. I'll call...
Ah, fuck. Okay, so that was one of the mines I was talking about earlier. Damn. Okay, so this allows me to make my point. There are 4 movement speeds in ArmA. Let me just load this save game real quick. Jogging, sprinting, the walking speed, right? So those are the first 3, and then you have your tactical pace, right? So you've got your walking or jogging, you've got your sprinting, you've got your walking, which is basically activated by pressing W and S to get at the same time. Then you just go walking, and if you move forward, you tap S again. You go back to jogging. But if you press C while you're on the move, which is usually, like C is the weapon deployment button, but if you press it while walking, you go into a tactical pace, where you basically have your, god damn it, right, so you have your weapon raised at the ready, you're moving a little bit slower, but you're still at a jog, so it's called a tactical pace, where it's a good compromise between being able to rapidly find a target, but also movement. It finds basically a compromise between jogging and walking, where you can still engage relatively easily and quickly. Right.
Yes, sir, of course. Not so fast. Our disarmed forces have concentrated themselves around Mike 26 and the airbase, meaning there's a sea of AAF units
Trying the
between
other way
you
now.
and us. I'm dispatching a team to RV with you at 028, 037, just east of Camp Tempest. Our call sign is Falcon. Make your way there. Over.
Right, so this is the tactical pace that I was talking about.
Carrie, you get that? Over.
Copy.
We can't keep them waiting all day. We're leaving in 10. Hope to see you before then. Out.
So, as you can tell, there's a lot of conversations going on right now, and the voice acting is actually really good. It's quite enjoyable. It doesn't take you out of the experience. Oh shit, there's an enemy. Let me just... I'm in a bad position. I have to he hasn't seen me yet, so I can find some cover first. Let me stick to the trees here. I don't see any rocks that I can hide behind. Stay at the ready. And right now, as you can, if you look up in the top right, I'm actually resting my weapon on the tree. Oh shit! Right. There's some hidden enemies here.
Oh, shit.
Okay. Well, basically that was my point anyway. I wanted to show the voice acting. It's actually quite good. And there's no broken missions like in ArmA 2. Like in ArmA 2 there were, especially the Manhattan mission. Like the Manhattan mission in ArmA 2 was kind of infamous because it was a really long sandbox mission, and it was very prone to breaking because there were so many systems working together. And when you have that many systems working together, it's really hard to predict everything that's going to happen, right? So it would occur that some of these systems would react in an unexpected way. They would break the scenario, but this was a scenario that would take sometimes of around, well, it could take some people 3 hours to complete, you know. So imagine playing for two and a half hours or something like that, right? And then basically a mission breaking bug occurs, and the only way to make sure that doesn't happen again is restarting the entire mission. So that's 2.5 hours just gone, you know. And they try to fix it, and they fix most of it, but too little too late, you know. It killed the campaign for almost everyone. I actually quite liked the idea of what they were trying to do. It was very ambitious. It just didn't work out. So for the ArmA 3 campaign, they dialed back that ambition a little bit. They went back to the Operation Flashpoint style of very clear, relatively simple missions, you know, not a lot of systems interacting, but still basically giving you the gameplay that I fell in love with in Operation Flashpoint. And so yeah, I'm very happy about it. They just like, this is a really good slice of gameplay that teaches you the game and sets you up for multiplayer very well, you know. Still a lot to learn though, you know, like teamwork and tactics changes a lot when you're playing with human players instead of the AI, of course. You can do a lot of complex things, but ArmA 3, it's just such a good game, just really enjoyable. The last thing I have to talk about is always kind of like the elephant in the room and the major complaint that was leveled at the game, and that's performance, right? So in this video you might have noticed that sometimes the frame rate goes down into like the low 30s, 30 frames per second. Sometimes it's 60 frames per second, but sometimes it's 30. It goes up and down a bit, you know. There's a lot of people complaining about the performance of ArmA 3, and some of that is actually justified. Okay, the game does not utilize all the cores of your processor as well as it could and should. But honestly, they have done a lot to improve the performance of the game, and right now I'm not playing on a desktop computer. Right, I'm playing on a laptop. I'm actually traveling across the world right now. I've been away from home for almost a year and a half. I've traveled to New Zealand. Right now I'm in Australia. And after all the time I decided to buy a gaming laptop because I was really longing to play games again. It's a really big hobby of mine. And so here I am, you know. This laptop is okay, but it's definitely not the best laptop in the world, right? But all the frame rate dips you saw occurring in this video, if you noticed much of it at all, is basically because I'm recording, right? Actually recording this takes up some frames of the computer, and so frame rate goes down as I play. But if I was not recording, all of the stock content of ArmA 3, it runs really well on my laptop. There's no problems with performance at all, really. Like, I think a lot of the complaints about the performance come from user-created content, right? There's a lot of different reasons for this. One could be a scenario that has a lot of AI, because the editor does not actually limit you in what you're allowed to place down, right? So if an official mission of Bohemia Interactive has 40 soldiers, I don't know, I'm just throwing out a number out there. If it has 40 soldiers, it actually runs really well, and all the missions are designed around this kind of number, maybe. In the editor you can do whatever you want. You can place down 2,000 enemy soldiers, 100 helicopters, 50 tanks. You know, just name it. You can throw it down, the game does not stop you from doing that. And then once you press play, it's only natural to assume that your computer is going to stutter and hang up a little bit. Like, the frame rate is going to go down because the computer has to take care of all the calculations of all the bullet ballistics. Every single bullet that's fired is being tracked. All the artificial intelligence is being tracked as well. And this is a big open world, right? Enemies can come from anywhere, any direction. There's a ton of cover spots, you know. And they have to choose from all of this. They have to protect themselves from every enemy threat they see, and they have to take into consideration all the cover around them. And you know, it's very hard. It takes a lot of calculations, and just not every computer can handle it. You know, if you really want to, I'm sure you could devise a mission that will burn down like the heaviest of the NASA computers. You know, nothing stops you from doing that. And in fact, I remember a mission from ArmA, or a video I saw in ArmA 2, where a guy, he basically added 1,500 entities into a mission, right? In the editor he placed 1,500 units, tanks, helicopters, soldiers, whatever, and then he pressed play, and it was chaos. It was beautiful. It was magnificent chaos, you know. But he actually had to put bags of ice to the side of his computer to cool it down, and even then the computer overheated, you know. Imagine that. But the game doesn't stop you from doing it. So that's one big reason, you know. You can go overboard with AI. And another reason is scripts. Like, some missions are really heavy on scripts, and scripts, they also require their own bits of calculation, and they can really slow down a mission and your computer. So really, if you want to talk about ArmA's performance, you should just do it from the stock content, because that's clearly what the designers intended for the game to be able to do, you know? And if you want to go over that, then that's fine. If your computer can handle it, that's cool, but there's only so much you can expect, you know? So, yeah, I can't really complain about it, you know? It's like, sure, it could be better. Definitely could be better, but yeah, no, it's just, I think they did a really good job. You know, I'm really enjoying ArmA. They added a lot of features that people have been wanting for a long time. The firing from vehicles, the ability to deploy your weapons, the bipods and all that stuff. The 3D editor, which is also something people have been wanting for a really long time. All of this stuff has been added after people already bought the base game, you know, and that the base game already offered a ton of replayability because you already had a mission editor and mod support and all that stuff. So the possibilities were already endless, but they just added onto it and added onto it, you know. And right now, I think it's just like one of the best games out there that you could buy. You know, there's, for the price you get thousands of hours of gameplay potential. Thousands, you know. You could do that just in single player, let alone multiplayer. It's just incredible for the price. So yeah, definitely get this game. It's absolutely awesome. I never regretted it for a moment. And actually, when I bought this, I bought it in the alpha stage. I paid 25 euros for this game, right? And I've poured hundreds of hours into this game for 25 bucks, you know. And I bought all the DLC to support Bohemia, but all these big features, they added it to the game for free. The actual DLCs, they don't really add that much. For example, the Marksman DLC, it adds 7 weapons, 2 showcase scenarios. That's basically it as far as I can remember. But it came along with this big list of features. Like this DLC launched alongside a big platform update that added the weapon resting, the bipod deployment, and the ability to fire from vehicles, you know. And all that is available for everyone. So yeah, it's an awesome game. Buy it, play it, never regret it. Never.